I do think that we have to have some sort of regulation now, because security is a big issue. And if women are not going to be safe in hotel rooms, if nobody is really safe in a hotel room because there is no way of guaranteeing that the hotel is following safe procedures, then I think we will probably have to look at regulation. Now, I'm not normally someone who likes the idea of regulation for regulation's sake, but I think we have to think about the safety of individuals in hotel rooms.
The chief executive of Travelodge, Joe Boydell, has stepped down after criticism about the handling of a sexual assault at one of the group's hotels. The case triggered a widespread outcry, and more than 100 MPs demanded that Boydell face questions about the chain's failings. We can speak to Christine Jardine, the Liberal Democrat MP for Edinburgh West and member of the Women and Equalities Committee. Hello, Christine.
Afternoon, Calum.
It's good to speak to you on a Thursday afternoon.
On a weekday.
Absolutely. This is an unusual occurrence.
Yeah.
Normally, Christine is with us on a Sunday morning on Times Radio Breakfast, which is always lovely. Christine, your reaction then to the departure of Joe Boydell, who was heavily criticised for the handling of this sexual assault at a Travelodge. Is this timely? Is this overdue?
I think that it had to happen, unfortunately. She admitted herself that she hadn't perhaps handled it correctly, I think. And I think that she has, or as effectively as she could have done. But I think there is a bigger issue that we should be looking at. It's not just about one senior executive responsible for one hotel and one incident. There have now we now learn been a series of incidents, and that perhaps this is an industry-wide problem. Is the protocol, as in hotels, as we've moved from giant keys to little plastic cards, has the protocol been thought through? Are hotels thinking in terms of security properly? Are staff being trained properly? Do we need an industry-wide approach? Because, as I say, we now know this is not an isolated incident, and it's a worry for people who use hotels either occasionally or quite a lot.
Yeah, and this incident, the culprit was jailed back in February after a guest was sexually assaulted by a man who had been given a key card to her room. And actually, Sir Keir Starmer earlier this year urged Joe Boydell to engage with the government on the issue. Have you been able to identify any level of engagement from the industry, Christine, at this point as to whether protocols do need updated?
I haven't actually, but I think that it is absolutely necessary, and the new Prime Minister now, I think, has to carry that forward. He has to, invite not just Travelodge but all the big chains to discuss what they are doing about protocols and security and protecting their customers, because this is a serious issue, and the fact that someone could be sexually assaulted in a hotel room opens up the questions about why this is not a situation that had been anticipated, and what checks there are when someone, as I understand it, there were no checks. The key was just handed out, and this is happening, as we now know, more regularly. So I think that the new Prime Minister has to carry this forward. There has to be talks. There has to be a look at just exactly how the hotel industry is managing security for its customers.
Yeah. And just out of interest, in terms of how that practically works, so that the conversation happens, is there any sense that the government may need to enforce some sort of protocol change, or would you expect that hotel groups should really be sort of voluntarily, enacting the demands of Parliament, the demands of the government to make hotels safer for guests?
Well, that's a really interesting question, because I can't speak for anybody else, but I do know that I kind of assumed that whenever I used a hotel room, and we've got conference season coming up, and political parties are all using hotels, and we're all neurotic, rightly at the moment, about security. So you kind of assume that hotels are aware of it. So I would have until now left it up to hotels, thinking they were responsible, hotel chains were responsible. But I do think that we have to have some sort of regulation now, because security is a big issue. And if women are not going to be safe in hotel rooms, if nobody is really safe in a hotel room because there is no way of guaranteeing that the hotel is following safe procedures, then I think we will probably have to look at regulation. Now, I'm not normally someone who likes the idea of regulation for regulation's sake, but I think we have to think about the safety of individuals in hotel rooms. Because it has crossed my mind since this happened that you might leave the card for your hotel room accidentally at a table in the restaurant or something. There must be some better protocol and some better way of protecting people.
Even as we're speaking, Amy gets in touch to say, I'm a woman in my early 30s. I stayed in a hotel in London for business, and after midnight somebody let themselves into my room. They quickly left again. All that staff offered me when I went downstairs to find out what had happened was a bottle of water. I've not stayed in one of these hotels since, says Amy. Elaine says, Christine's right, this is not a new issue. This will be industry-wide. I dealt with a case of an employee over 20 years ago whereby a senior man asked for the key to a junior person's room after a work night out. She chased him out, reported to us, and we fired him. But the 4-star hotel involved didn't respond well to the issue. I can't believe that there aren't really strict protocols these days. Which is interesting to hear that even, as we're speaking, Christine, experiences are coming in. Yeah, exactly.
It is worrying, and it is something we shouldn't have to worry about, and we should be aware of individual safety because from that call, it has been going on a very long time. And if it happened 20 years ago, I would hope that hotel chain, which she hasn't, I would hope that they have looked at their practices and instituted some sort of safeguarding. And I actually wonder if, as customers, we can do something about it. When we book a hotel, say to them, what are your safety procedures? Can I be sure that you won't just give out my room key willy-nilly? And say to the reception when you check in, and can you assure me that you're not going to give anybody else? I would like a note, maybe against my name, that there will be nobody else asking for my room key.
Yeah, who are the authorised people to have a key by name and by, some sort of ID or whatever. It's a really interesting thought, actually, Christine. Just while I've got you, I just want to ask you about the Home Office pamphlet that's being issued to asylum seekers to explain to them that things such as domestic abuse, sex with children, that rape is illegal. It's got a kind of mixed response, I suppose. The two sides of it seem to be, well, these are people who may not understand the laws of this country, and so they need to be told the laws of this country. And the other side of it is, isn't this an admission that the government is failing and, in inverted commas, the wrong or the people that we don't want to come to this country are being allowed in? I just wonder where you stand on that.
It's a tricky one. I think I was a bit shocked when I heard it, if I'm absolutely honest. I was shocked that it was necessary to say to people that you cannot behave in this way. This is the law of the land. That is a worry, and I can understand why people, women especially now, would be thinking, am I safe? And there is an element of it might have caused some alarm and the public will now need reassured. I think it is important that if people arrive in this country, they know what the law is and that we tell them. So from that point of view, I think that it is important that they do have some information given to them. But just giving them a leaflet, I really don't think is enough. I think what they have to do is make sure that people coming to this country have some sort of, and it's going to be difficult with numbers, but that there is some sort of way of introducing them to how things work in this country, that is more than just a leaflet, because how many people actually read leaflets?
Christine, it's really good to speak to you. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Thanks. Now, that's Christine Jardine, who's a Liberal Democrat MP for Edinburgh West and a member of the Women and Equalities Committee as well. Alex gets in touch to say, this hotel key access is not just a UK issue. It's happened to me both here in the UK and also a major US hotel chain. This is not good. Thank you for your messages. It's fascinating to hear your experiences of I suppose, security concerns around access to you and to your room when you're staying at a hotel.